Hello, class. So this week's lecture is on Chapter 10 in the text, which is on wireless and mobile computing and all the different applications. What you should discover from reading the text is that, and if you think about it a little bit, the United States is well behind the rest of the world, and not just the first world, like the developing world, in terms of wireless and mobile computing technologies. And the reason for that is, let's say in Africa, for example, uh, they don't have these established technological networks. So we were burying, telegraph wires and telephone lines and all this sort of stuff 100 years ago, and they don't really have that option. There's a lot of places that don't have hardline connections still. So you can go into a village in the middle of nowhere in Africa and find that they have mobile phones that they're using, and they charge them through some solar panels attached to their huts. And I have that on direct authority from fellow Rotarians that went out to work on a water project out there. So they're very connected in sort of advanced ways that we're not. Our internet service is very slow compared to Europe. Our wireless services are not so fantastic. And so we're behind on all this. So what are we talking about? Well, there's a difference between wireless and mobile. Wireless just means that the technology is connected through electromagnetic waves instead of through hard wires. So it's satellites and it's cell phone towers and it's your laptop and all that kind of stuff. Mobile means there are devices that you can take with you as you're traveling. So your smartphone, your laptop, any of that kind of stuff, and the devices that are attached to that. So the text talks about a few different types of these items. You should know the differences between them. So, for example, in wireless media, you're talking about satellite, radio, infrared. Each one of those types has positives and negatives attached to its uses in different environments, so you should understand about that. The text talks about the different satellite positions in terms of the orbit around the globe. So the higher the satellite is, meaning the farther out into space it is, the bigger the footprint that it covers, the more service area it covers. The problem is the delay in getting the information to it. So if you bring a satellite closer, you have less delay, but you sacrifice footprint, and then also sometimes you have interference and things like that. So when you're talking about wireless services, the text describes it in three groups: short range, mid range, and long range. So short range is things like Bluetooth, that you have devices within close proximity to each other. Your cell phone is attached to your earbud and it runs on Bluetooth, or your phone connects to your car through Bluetooth and it picks it up automatically. The medium range is really covering most of the Wi-Fi that you're on. So our Wi-Fi network on campus is a medium range network. And then finally, the wide area networks include cell phone, or they call it cellular radio connections. So as you're driving along in your car and you're traveling from here to Pennsylvania, your phone is being passed from cell to cell, these areas of coverage from towers or other pieces of equipment. So there are more opportunities in the future for the wider area networks as we try to cover parts of the country with internet service that don't lend themselves to digging in fiber optic cable. So if you're off in the mountains somewhere, they're not going to run a cable up to you. You can get satellite internet connection. And so one example of an offering is Dish Network. So the satellite service for TV also offers internet connection as well. So if you're out in remote places, you can have equal access to individuals living into cities, or if not equal access, at least some access. So there's a couple of really applicable things here in this chapter. One is location-based commerce, and you'll see more and more of that as you're walking along with your smartphone. Different retail outfits will have sort of warnings or push notifications set up that, hey, you're driving past the mall. Did you know there's a sale at Michael Kors today, and here's a coupon. Those are location-based commerce options. And so as we get sort of immune to all the different types of advertisements out there, the direct push, specific, individualized ads that go straight to our main device will gain importance. Also, there's the concept of telemetry, which is you've got wireless transmissions going back and forth from remote sensors to some data collection device. And this ties in with pervasive computing as well. So a few years ago, at a public library I ran, I hosted a Korean cultural group from South Korea, and they came in and were talking about Korea's past and present, and they made regular usage of these types of devices. So for example, they were showing us a video where parents were at the office building downtown, and they were watching their children play in their own home through the internal security system. And they could actually buzz in and give their kids notice, like, hey, stop fighting with your sister, I'm watching you, which is kind of frightening for children, but also provides a great deal of security. They could also let the child back into the house if they were coming home from school and they didn't want to give them keys. Another example that they showed was that they had a refrigerator that if someone took the second to the last egg out of the egg tray, it would send a notice to the owner and could even put an order for you with the local grocery store. So devices that don't necessarily think but respond to certain criteria to assist you in managing your household. So we are also behind in all these types of devices and will be coming up soon. And so a lot of this stuff, the connections between these types of devices in your smartphone and that kind of thing, rely upon things like QR codes, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, but maybe something you're not as familiar with is RFID tags, radio frequency identification tags. And these are in use, you slap them on different pieces of equipment that you don't want to lose, and then you can sit in your office and say, hey, truck number 15 all of a sudden left the town it's supposed to be in and is making a bad dash for the state border, and then you realize, oh, my driver just committed a crime and the cops are chasing them now, that kind of thing. And it's, that's obviously a facetious example, but we looked at them in libraries as well. There's many libraries in the state that are using RFID tags on every piece in the collection. So instead of scanning a barcode like you see us do in our library when you check something out, they basically just put a stack of items on the reader. It picks up the RFID tags. You never lose where anything is. You can do inventory in about 3 seconds because everything is lined up and you just run past it with a scanner. And so that's kind of where inventory control is going, management of fleets of equipment is going, and that sort of thing. So it's a very technical chapter, but a very interesting one. And just at the end here, I would remind you that next week the draft for the paper is due. So the more of the paper you have done, the better it will be for you, because I'll make my comments on it, the things that you need to fix for the final draft. Also, I'm asking that you submit that through Turnitin. It should do that automatically in Canvas. Let me know if it doesn't, and that'll tell you how good of a job you're doing with paraphrasing and citing. So enjoy working on the assignments this week. I think they're pretty interesting, and this is some technical but really practical material that we're covering this week. Take care.